You, the Messiah. No offense, Perdre, but that has got to be the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Why not me?
Have you met yourself? Perdre, you drink, you fight, you like to break people's arms just to hear the sounds they make.
Howdy, pilgrims, and thanks for tuning in to Season 4 of Preacher vs. Preacher. Yeah, we're still doing it, baby. It's a comparison companion. Each week we get together, not only do we recap AMC's Preacher, but we directly compare it to the 1990s comic it's based on by Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon. Who are we? I'm Bill Sweeney. You might know me from the Wicked Theory podcast. You might know my guest from the Wicked Theory podcast. You might also know this person from the DC TV Report. That's a podcast. You should be checking that out. They do a little Preacher coverage there on the regular. That's where you'll actually get Preacher news, if there is any. He's rocking side to side. He's jamming with the opening theme.
He is not Sarah Netzley.
He is not. Oh, he is not Sarah Netzley. All right. Wow. Called out on that at the beginning of the show. Sarah Netzley, I will call you. I will ask you to be on. I just keep waiting to too late in the week, and then I fucking feel bad that I'm going to call her on a Friday or a Saturday, and it's going to be like, oh, well, I had made plans. Maybe if you call me on a Monday, let me know. Is this not good enough excuses or reason? Well, it's not really excuses because it's just reasons. Right, it's my reasons.
All right, so when we're done recording, you're gonna send a text message.
Oh, God. All right.
Where's all this? Hello, everybody. I don't think you said my name.
No, I haven't. Why should I now? You're the other half of that show, I guess, is what it comes down to.
Yeah, I'm Edward O'Hare.
Yeah. I'm not going to introduce you. You do it.
Nickname to be determined.
Yeah. Anything else? Any other creds?
No, I think that's it.
You don't want to plug your day job or some shit?
Well, no, absolutely not.
No, I'd rather not.
Absolutely not. I don't understand people who do that. Why?
Do people really do that? Some people? Yeah.
People go on, they talk about their jobs, and it's
yeah. Yeah, I avoided that like the plague. I mean, only if we had to on Wicked Theory did we ever really mention the day job stuff.
Yeah. I don't even tell people like by title or like.
Yeah, I don't even talk about my job. I try not to describe it at all.
Yes.
In the main world, like in the real world. Like I just kind of like give you that baseline description.
Yes.
If anything, I don't get specific.
Yes.
I'm like, yes, I work in a cave, and they're like, cave. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
cave.
I think I'm like one of the younger people who still remembers where like you didn't have to be online. Mm-hmm. Like you didn't have to be on social media. I mean, you don't. You still don't have to.
That's true.
But if you don't, you're weird. That's the thing.
You're one of them.
People are like, oh, yeah. Like you can't even manage your life and keep a social media presence.
I wonder if some people will actually hear that and go, "Oh, you can't hack it. like you're not strong enough to survive out in the real wilderness of the Wild West that is the internet and social media."
Yeah. Yeah, you're not grown up enough to handle that. Why do you need psychiatric care?
Or do you need a thicker skin?
Yeah.
Or do you just
Yeah.
Do you just refuse to be part of the?
Yeah. Do you belong in the same?
Is it like that culture resistance sometimes where it's like, oh, everybody loves this new thing, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Like you ever have that happen? Everybody falls in love with a band all at once. Mm-hmm. It's like I'm not giving it a chance. Like
yeah.
You know, or everybody wants to love that thing.
Yeah, conforming to a nonconformist conformity.
Right. Yeah. In a pop culture sense.
Yes.
That's what we do here. We talk rambly nonsense, folks. Nope, that's not true at all.
No,
I just did the intro where I described what we do. Mm-hmm. And before we get to that, just the heads up, the official business. You can follow this show at Preach vs. Preach on Twitter. That's a social media. Mm-hmm. You can follow me at Wicked Theory. If you want to follow Ed, Ed still has his Twitter account. He checks it every now and then. He's not a regular tweeter. Neither am I, really, but it's at Edward O'Hare. TBD. Yes,
Edward O'Hare TBD. Actually, you're probably more likely to hang out if you tweet me at DCTV Report.
How about that? That's because that's the Twitter account for that.
Yeah, and we talk about all all TV shows, live action TV shows based on DC Comics. So we got Preacher, we got Pennyworth going up right now. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Titans is coming back this week.
Titans is coming back. Excited for that.
Yeah,
I'm digging that Pennyworth.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Pennyworth is a thing where it's like, oh yeah, he's supposed to be a badass back in the day, but I didn't know he was like a badass.
Yeah.
Capital B.
Yeah, and how about that Widow's Peak, man?
Yeah, you can cut sandwiches with that.
That hair, man.
That's something. And I keep saying it to people, but like his accent is so fucking Michael Caine.
started up a security firm. Yeah.
But I really want to hear him say Bruce. I want to hear him say Master Bruce. When he says Master Bruce, that should be like the last scene of the show, and it's over.
The size of a tangerine.
Fair play. It's all fair play. Right, you got me there. Fair play, love. All right. This is not a Pennyworth recap podcast, much to your chagrin, probably.
No, we had a really good episode of Preacher to talk about.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to pull back a little bit.
Why do you do this?
Well, not to just be like a disagreeer with you or a contrarian.
Yeah, you do this on our Patreon special. Yes. So
well, that's because we're talking about James Bond.
Yeah. So if you like PvP, and you want more of me and Bill,
yeah, there you go.
You pay $1 a month. Patreon.com/Wicked Theory.
Yeah, there you go.
And you pay $1 a month, and you get an exclusive every 2 weeks. We're doing Ed Bonds with Bill.
We're going through the James Bond catalog, where it's a thing where like I'm not really into it, but Ed is exposing me to the nooks and crannies of James Bond. You don't have to be a crazy James Bond fan to enjoy it. That's where I'm coming from. I'm like, look, I'm not a crazy James Bond fan, but I'm enjoying it. So that's the baseline for me to do it. And then, therefore, my idea is that it's got to be good enough that if you don't want to watch the movie, you don't have to.
Yeah. Last night we watched The Man with the Golden Gun.
The Man with the Golden Gun.
Starring Roger Moore.
That's how the theme song goes, right? It's like
Man
an 80s...
with the Golden Gun.
Yeah, you know what? I still hate it.
Oh, Lulu.
Well, folks, you can hear it on the old Patreon. All right, enough of that.
But on that show, all of these movies are great. I think all of them are great. Yeah. And then you always have the qualifying.
Well, because not everything is great all the way through and through. Like some people say that, like, you know what I mean? It's like, the Dallas Cowboys are the greatest team ever. And it's like, really? Ever? All of it, like everything they've done ever. I mean, like that's just it's such a BS kind of statement.
Well, no, it's because no one wants to admit it's the New England Patriots. Well, that's really where we are right now.
I made a sports reference, and so in the top of my head, I couldn't get to the Patriots because that's who I wanted to say.
Yeah, no.
So I went to 1990s, the best team.
You made the right move. No one admits it's the Patriots because I am not going to say that out loud.
Right. It's nonconformist.
No,
I'm not going to admit that the Patriots.
No. It's because Bill Belichick is Darth Vader, and no one wants to admit that.
I mean, a little Vader, a little Dick Cheney, whatever you like. But enough of that. If you want to send us an email to let me know of how wrong my sports references are,
and your political leanings,
anything. You could even talk about Preacher if you want to.
We're breaking 2 of your 3 rules now. I got to figure out a way to weave math into this.
Yeah, I feel like we're just mentioning sports and politics. Although on this show, that rule really isn't the rule.
Yeah.
But anyway, pvp@wickedtheory.com. Send your emails there. I'd love to hear from somebody besides Nigerian princes who need cash loans. I don't know why these princes all need help. If you're a prince of a country, you should be financially okay.
Yeah.
You would think. Anyway.
Yeah.
Here's the setup, Ed. This is the spoiler warning part. It's season 4. We hope people have read the books and finished the books. You actually just finished.
Yes, it did.
You know what I mean? And because our thing is here is as we recap the episodes, maybe we theorize and talk, who knows? But we cover all that ground. That's the first baseline here on this show. You've read the books, or you don't care about spoilers. Because we're going to talk about where things may go. Sorry for the belching. I just couldn't stop that one, though. Oh, it's terrible. This show's the worst. This is where you're supposed to throw back to me what I said before about, well, you can't, the worst, Bill? Yeah. Is it the worst?
No, it's not the worst. It's not the worst.
It's on the top 20 of bad.
Well, that would be bottom 20. But that's, yes.
Fair enough. All right, so this episode is the season 4... The Lost Apostle.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into it here. Let me do a little sound effect here to signify this is it. Get out now while you can. That's the bell from season 1. Ed, I guess we start at the beginning, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, speaking of starting at the beginning,
many moons ago.
Yeah, a few. We start with a not really reinterpretation of the story of Abraham.
No, I think that's how it went down.
Yeah, that's like the dialogue, but with Sopranos accents.
I mean, you don't know how they talked back then.
You really don't. It could have been like really, kind of that Jersey, Brooklyn kind of accent.
Oh, come on, Abe. Where you taking the kid?
Oh, leave the kid alone. What are you doing? He's like, listen, you just got to toughen up. It's a tough, cruel world, or some shit he's saying to him.
Oh, Sarah.
Sarah can't handle this one?
No, that's Abraham's wife, Sarah.
Oh, well, I don't know. I'm not keeping track of that stuff.
Okay. Yeah, he pulls little Isaac out. And,
Puts him on the rock.
Yeah, I mean, in the book he says he climbed up a mountain, but that rock is just hanging out right outside of their hovel.
Well, not in the preacher book.
Yeah.
In the Bible book.
Yes.
Okay, because you said the book.
Oh, okay.
And I understand for Catholics, the book is like when people say the island and they mean Long Island.
Yes. So
okay.
In the Bible.
Fair enough.
Yes.
In the Bible. So they had New Jersey accents, which was a nice little fun twist. But we're actually watching, because it starts to get rewound, it's like a VHS copy of the best of God highlights volume 7.
Well, that's the thing. Like he goes to you actually see him. He pulls up, and then God steps in and says, "Wait, no, this was a test, and you passed." And then he gives him, "Jesus, God, I love you so much."
Yeah, and God is actually watching this on tape and starts rewinding it back and forth just to kind of hear, "I love you, God. I love you, God. I love you, God." And this guy just loves his ego getting stroked.
Yep.
Just like that classic holier than thou God of the Bible.
Yep. Dog's feeling sappy. Dog's feeling sappy.
I like how you won't call him God on DC TV Report. Like when you do the episode recap that you do before you talk about it, like you'll say dog, but you say it so matter of fact that like a couple times I was like, dog? Who is dog? Oh, he just won't say God, or just likes to do that as kind of like a half joke kind of thing.
Well, I think for a while on IMDb, he was credited as Dog.
As Dog, so
and
it was
a lowercase d and a capital G. So
and even though they did it like that?
Yeah.
Well, interesting. All right, so he's just getting his ego stroked by watching this video over and over. But he's kind of somber in this kind of opening scene. It seems a little wistful. I don't know, these kinds of adjectives. But he calls Star on the phone, and Star is trying to get this meeting going, this apocalypse sit down.
Yeah.
And
Jesus and Hitler are negotiating.
Yeah, and God calls in on the phone and kind of just was like checking in. But again, he asks about Humperdoo.
Yeah.
He's really obsessed with that. And so that's kind of where the phone call kind of ends, because Star's got nothing for him really, and stalls. But then God goes back to playing with his models, his little diorama set, if you will, of vehicles and little kinds of buildings and structures from throughout the series. And one of them's a nuke.
Yeah.
And that's called foreshadowing, kids.
Yes, it is.
So from there, we get my question kind of answered, because we see shipping containers on boats.
Yes.
And the implication as the Chevelle comes bursting out of a dockside gate is that's how they got the car there.
Yes, yeah.
You know what I mean?
So they were, theoretically, sort of able to drive to Australia.
So and took it, just a day, I guess.
Yeah.
Not the 3 or 4 months by sea that it feels like that would take. So they're ripping around turns and just kind of tearing up the streets of Melbourne, pull up right in front of a police station, knock a pole down, and, everyone's all right there. So they don't pay no mind to it, really. They walk into the fucking police precinct, and it's basically a 70s cop show.
Yes.
It's Starsky and Hutch for those first few minutes.
But they also do the hot fuzz thing where no one behind the counter is intelligible.
Right. Yes. Right. Yeah. All the Australians.
Commissioner, you got to fill out these forms. Yeah,
it's all just locally twanged out to the max, which is a funny bit, And then they're like, "Well, who are you?" And Cassidy pulls out his wallet, and there's like nothing in his wallet. Yeah. And he opens and closes it. With the Americans.
Yeah, they lay the gun on the table.
And they put the gun on the table. And once you show the gun, it's like, definitely Americans.
They're the ones who are allowed to carry those things around.
Look at the hand cannon. But, and Cass is doing like this American accent the whole time.
Yes,
but he's putting in just the right amount of like hints.
Yeah,
like there's a couple of R's or certain letters that he's not nailing, that he's
Yes.
letting slide. You can hear the Irish kind of accent on certain letters.
It
So
kind of peeks through.
a little bit, yeah, a little bit, and I thought it was kind of brilliant. Not enough of that. But yeah, so they pull up there because they find out that Arseface is arrested.
Yes. Well, first they find out Jesse's presumed dead.
Jesse's presumed dead. They came there, I guess, presuming they were going to get some help finding Jesse. Was that the thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they claim to be, we're Americans. We're here to fucking investigate shit.
Yeah.
So, but turns out Arseface is in cuffs. He's in another room. And that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Jesse's gone.
Yeah. So Tulip is interrogating Arseface while Cassidy is sitting back with Commissioner Walker.
Right.
And, kind of explaining, hey, I don't know what you're doing. And yeah. So, like, Arseface, he says Jesse's dead. And Tulip's like, are you sure?
Yeah.
And he just, well, I hope so.
Because it wouldn't be good. Which we cut to then Jesse and the Saint, where the Saint is actually removing the bullet.
Yeah.
Because he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Because he cares. So he's popping the bullet out.
But it hurts.
And then he heats up the blade with his hot breath, his hot, stanky death breath, and cauterizes the wound for Jesse. Because, again, nice guy.
Yeah.
Just nice. Just through and through, sweetie.
Yeah, that's what you call him.
Yeah. Oh, man, everybody's loved by their moms, all right? Just remember, even a mom can love. So he heats up the knife. Jesse tries to use the word on him because we come back from the break. So they have a little, as they're walking now, he wakes up Jesse. He's like, come on, we got to go.
Yeah.
And during this little exchange, the meat and potatoes is that Jesse tries to use the word on him, and it doesn't work. And then, when we're on the move, let's keep moving.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, where are we going? And Saint says, we're going to kill God.
Yeah. Which, okay, with the books...
that's spot on, right? That's character motivation stuff. But
Yeah.
All right, we'll give it a bell. We'll give it a bell, folks. We give it a bell whenever, we're really close to the book.
And that's where Jesse and Saint of Killers realize that they actually kind of have the same goal in mind. Jesse doesn't want to kill God. He wants to...
He wants to have a talk. He wants to straighten him out. I want to let him know what's up.
But, they're both headed for the same place.
Yeah. So it's kind of going to work out a little bit, it seems, of sorts. So then we go back to the meeting.
Yes.
And it's this little quick breakdown between Jesus and Hitler of, what are the rules to get into heaven? And he's like, redemption. You tell me. What was he saying?
Well, basically, Jesus is like, if anyone repents,
right,
at any time.
Yeah, they're good.
They're good. And Hitler's like, so you're telling me if someone goes up, kills 100 people, does all,
well, he actually
women,
lists off his own accomplishments.
Yes.
He's like, if someone starts a world war,
commits genocide,
takes, I forget what place he says, like Denmark or something.
Yes.
But then on their deathbed, is repentant. That's good. Yeah, that's good. That's good. He's like, well, that's got to change.
That's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. We got to change that.
And then basically, so they're going back and forth, and they're thinking, okay, this is going to take time.
Yeah.
And then Harry Starr is like, well, it's not going to take too long.
Yeah.
Because we started phase 2.
Yeah. So he gets on the phone, and he's, I think, again with the phone, right? No.
He's just he's telling. Well, one thing you didn't mention before. There was a scene before where they're in New Zealand, and an Escalade pulls up with Australian coat of arms on it.
Oh, right, I did skip that. Yeah, the mansion in the box.
Yeah, drops off a crate with the Deputy Prime Minister's body inside.
Right.
So basically, they're trying to start a war between New Zealand and Australia.
Yeah, scamps.
Yeah, so that's the escalation that he's talking about.
Yeah, and that's going to be the thing that really tips the whole world over is a war between those two.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know about that plan. The meeting, and it really that meeting is about, in the apocalypse, who's going to heaven and who's going to hell, and how are we dividing up, because there's going to be an influx of souls And it seems like a fair thing, I guess, in the economics of, heaven and hell.
Yeah.
You would think that would kind of like be the freestanding setup. But I guess this is just how it all works.
Well, it's a negotiation, you know? Yeah, and that's where like Hitler's going back. Well, if you're going to do that, then I got to get all the homosexuals.
Yeah, I'll just take all those back.
Yeah,
and
so it's going back and forth.
So we go back to Jesse and the Saint, and Jesse just kind of realizes in this scene that he's kind of got the power because since Saint needs him, Saint isn't going to do anything to Jesse physically.
Yeah.
So he's like, eat shit. He's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, eat shit. You know what I mean?
Jesse thinks he has leverage, and he's trying to use it.
Yeah. She's like, I'm going to basically call the shots. That's kind of how that scene wraps. We go back to Tulip and Cassidy.
Well, no, because Jesse and Santa Killer looks at him, you think you got leverage?
Oh, that's correct.
Okay,
yes.
Watch this. And he just starts walking towards this house.
Yeah. I know what your weaknesses are. I know what your weak spots are. I may not be able to kill you.
Yeah.
But maybe if I fuck some other people up. So Tulip and Cassidy, they arrive at this building that Santa Killers had walked off to, and they're looking around. It's getting a little like, something happened here.
Yeah. An Australian cop walks out onto the porch and basically pukes.
Yeah. And so they find 3 people just being like hung.
Yeah.
Which is not really Santa Killer's style that he's known for. So at first I was like, oh, is this maybe not Saint? We're doing a switcheroo of some kind here. We did a little misdirect and this is some other thing. Yeah. But when they leave, they're like, oh, we just missed them. And so they really just go like full speed ahead. They're like, they must be close though.
Yeah.
So we'll just follow this road. She floors it. And then all of a sudden they come to the end of the road. And then there's a big title card thing they do on this show with the text, and it's like, the Outback.
Yes.
So they've hit the end of the road.
Yeah, and there ain't no blooming onions here, folks.
Nah. Some blooming tumbleweeds.
Yeah.
That's about it. Some blooming... couldn't think of a cactus flower. I'm trying to think of what the old...
ain't gonna find no coconut shrimp here.
No, definitely not.
No.
Okay.
That's my favorite appetite.
Oh, is that what, making the Outback Steakhouse connection?
Yeah.
I got you. Bloomin' onion, a little overrated.
A little bit.
I feel like there's a lot of waste there. No one picks up that base part of it and just starts chomping on that.
Oh, speak for yourself.
Speak for yourself, laddie.
Speak for yourself, my friend.
So then we get a scene where 2 Grail employees are working on... Oh, no. Truck. It's a truck.
Yes.
The truck breaks through a barrier at some kind of Australian military base.
Yeah, just 2 guys in the outback with binoculars. In camo,
And it's a New Zealand... I don't know which house, really, off the top of my head, if they did a switcheroo on the truck or anything. But anyway, military truck breaks through their barrier, and you can kind of tell there's something under the cloth. But we know, because we're eagle-eyed, that it's a nuke.
Yes, yeah, it's the same. It's the same bomb,
same shape underneath the tarp. What I mean?
It's the same bomb that dog was making the model of.
Yeah, which is like the Enola Gay type, era nuclear warhead.
Yeah.
Everything on this show has to be like. Nothing can ever be straightforwardly designed. Like everything's got to be like a retro tinge or some kind of our spin. So that just kind of real quickly, just that happens. The nuke gets stolen. Jesse now and Santa Killers have another quick confrontation.
Yeah.
Where Jesse manages to get the guns out of the holsters. And they do that cool shot we've been seeing from previews and in the the opening credits, where Jesse's got the 2 guns.
Yeah.
And he tries to shoot.
Nope.
Don't work like that, Jesse.
No.
Sorry, boy.
Yep. Yeah, and before Jesse was talking about how he wishes Santa Killers would get bit by a snake, how dangerous it was.
Yeah.
And Santa Killers is, I thought the snakes were a better idea. Like you'd have better luck with that.
Yeah, so Jesse even tries to hit him with that, and that doesn't do nothing. It's kind of like a moot kind of scene.
Yeah.
Where we just we get that out of the way. If anybody's ever been wondering, could you kill the Saint with his own guns? And the answer is no.
Nope.
So with that, we cut to a diner.
Yes.
And
they got those in Australia.
They got those in Australia.
Okay.
This is a cute one. It's got Tulip and Cassidy inside. And they're working on a map. They're trying to figure out, like, how do we find Jesse? Where is Jesse?
Yeah, because there's no roads.
There's no roads.
Well, there's some roads.
There are some roads, but not many.
No.
Just saying, there are some. So that's how that exchange goes. But turns to this conversation about the letter. And, well, maybe there's some kind of hints in the letter. What did it say in the letter? Well, I didn't read the letter. Oh, you didn't read the letter yet. What if I read the letter? Cassidy's like, what if I read the letter?
Yeah, I could skim through it.
I could skim through it. I'll find the relevant stuff. I won't really focus on any of that personal shit. She's like, all right. So she gives him the letter. And he starts reading it. And he's reading it.
Yep.
And he's definitely not skimming.
No.
It's kind of like this thing. And you're kind of waiting for it to be like a thing.
It's hard to read his face.
Yeah.
It's hard to read him.
Yeah. Because at first he's just reading.
Yeah.
And so it's that first page. And then when he gets, like, all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's multiple pages. It goes to that second page. And he starts to kind of get a little kind of like emotional. Like, you're kind of waiting for like a single tear or something to come down. I thought that was going to be the beat. But I was enjoying it.
Yeah, in the end, he just kind of says it won't help.
Yeah, it's not going to help. It's not going to help. So she takes it back. She goes outside for a cigarette. And then she's just kind of like looking out in the distance. She sees, like, for whatever reason, she's drawn to it. But it's just like a little lot with some cars and vehicles. And one of them's a camper.
Yeah. You get some RVs and campers.
Yeah. And the main one there is exactly the one from the opening. I noticed that, God had a little toy of that as well amongst all his little models.
Yeah, but she hears this music.
Oh, that's right.
That's the other thing. She's hearing this really bad jazz music.
Shitty jazz. The shittiest of jazz. Yeah. Which should not have drawn her to. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit of a stretch, I think, of why. Because I'm like, well, why... She is like a cat in a way sometimes where, like, I get that about her. She's, like, a little too investigative and a little too, like, she couldn't leave the thing alone. But you
remember in season 2 when they were in New Orleans, like, supposedly that was the whole reason God was sitting there in that dog costume.
Yeah, it was for the jazz for him. But for me, she's outside of the diner. It's not just hearing the music and going, oh, let me go see where the music's coming from. Like, that's not a justification to me of why she went to go over and investigate.
No, I think it's like I haven't heard music this bad since I was in New Orleans.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think that was the connection. Like, who the hell would be listening to that here?
Yeah. And she's nosy as fuck. So if you told me she's just a nosy person, I'm fine with that because I believe that.
Yeah.
She puts her shit in other people's business sometimes, which is, that's her way. So she goes into the camper. We don't see nothing. We come back to that a little bit later. We actually cut back to Cassidy real quick in the diner.
Yes.
And the waitress is like, is there anything else I can get you? And he's like, well, unless you've got, I forget exactly how he rattles it all off. But like paint thinner, barbiturates, heroin.
Skank, I think it was
Skag, something like that?
Yeah.
I don't even know. And she's like, well, no. But there might be some flame retardant out in the back. So, like, he's like, oh, really? Raises an eyebrow.
Yeah.
And then we cut back to Tulip now. Or we come back for commercial maybe. But she's in the camper. She's rooting around. You can hear a hamster or a gerbil or whatever the fuck that was. Some kind of little squeaky animal thing in a cage.
Yeah.
Guinea pig. That's what it was. Because Harry Starr asks him about it real quick on the phone.
Yeah.
But she's rooting around. So she finds all the models of the church from season 1, her car, the campus she's actually in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And Jesse.
And a little figurine of Jesse and God. Standing together, mind you, which is a thing that we haven't seen happen yet. So what we're seeing is the plan. You know what I mean? Because actually, when the episode started, God was holding a little prop plane that, eventually they'll be in by the end of this episode. So he's got it all worked out, that guy. He knew. So I'm presuming now that, well, I'll save it.
And Cassidy's taking the fire repellent.
Oh my God! Yes. So we go back to Cassidy. He's getting high on the flame retardant behind the building, behind the diner. Tulip walks up, and it's like, "What the fuck you do?" And he's got it on his teeth. It's all over his face.
And she shows him the postcard.
Shows him the postcard, and it's like, "Well, this is God's plan. We got to figure out where this is. This is probably where Jesse's going." She's like, "I saw it on his table with all this other stuff." And it's like, "Well, how are we going to get there?" And then they spot a plane, like a little Cessna, I guess, or something like that.
Yeah, a little fixed wing. Yeah.
A little fixed wing thing. But we cut back to the meeting. The phone rings.
Yes.
Hairstar like dives for it, goes running.
He is bugging.
He's bugging out. He's like, "This is the call. This is the call." You know, gets the call, and he's like, "Okay, you ready for me? Okay, I'm gonna go."
Yeah.
And then a new sensation. I think a Robert Palmer song, maybe.
Okay.
It starts playing. New sensation. He's feeling good about himself. Like, you know, he's got a little pep in his step, and he's like, "When I come back, you may not recognize me."
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be gorgeous.
Yeah, he's telling Hoover too.
Yeah.
All good. And then just as he's walking past Hoover too, he ignores the barista who's behind the coffee counter.
Right.
Who we find is Featherstone, sporting a fake beard.
Yes, but I was confused. I didn't recognize it was Featherstone under there. I knew it was a woman. I'm like, it's obviously a female with the worst castaway beard.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So from there, you know, he's on the move. He's happy. He's heading to Australia.
Yes.
Again, time travel type traveling on this show.
Well, it's Grail, you know?
Well, if they just create portals then.
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Right.
That's how it's edited together that we know. If this was in real time, these things may be happening hours apart. He could have gotten the call like 2 days, like the day before.
You're right. They do some of that where like you could break down the logic and track back on other shows. I feel like on here, it's not as respected. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like between the timeline of Cassidy and Tulip arriving and the timeline of this now, of him arriving here, I wonder if you could really track it back. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. I don't think...
Okay.
I doubt you could unfold it perfectly if you wanted to. But it's a goof show, so I'm not holding them to it.
Yeah. Yeah, they're all in that one place because that's where we need them all to be.
Yes, and it's that kind of show. So they've given up on logic. But so he gets. So we cut back down to Jesse and the Saint.
Jesse's getting bored.
And they're doing a lot of walking, and also Tulip and Cassidy in the plane. Yeah,
they're flying over,
and they're circling, and I think Jesse gets hip to it. He kind of notices. And I guess because the Saint of Killers never lifts up his head, and he has that big brim on his hat. He probably didn't notice, you know. But all of a sudden it starts circling around, comes real low, and they're working on something. Tulip says to Cassidy, "All right, you ready to do it? You going to hit him with it?" "Yeah, I'm going to hit him with it," you know. And it was a bunch of fire retardant. So it's that pillowy powder that they drop on wildfires, I'm guessing, out of a plane like that. You know, so it's just a distraction, really, and to make like a cloud.
Yes,
you know,
to give Jesse time to run into the plane, and of course they fly off, and Saint of Killers has his gun. He doesn't know where to shoot.
Yeah, convenient.
Yeah,
but it works. All right, so they get away, and then we've got the trio. The trio is reunited.
Yes,
you know, they're all together finally. It's been so long, and so you know, he's like, "Hey." Cassie's like, "Oh yeah, hey," and he's like, "Hey," to Tulip.
And Tulip's like, "Nope,
not giving you nothing." He even grabs the microphone off the headset from Cassie's like, "Hey," and still nothing.
Nope.
No, she's cold as ice. But you know, we'll get there. She'll warm up, I bet. But so with that,
Cassidy breaks the tension.
Yeah,
being like, "Hey, listen, when you talk to God, better fucking explain Lebowski to me."
Yeah, Lebowski shit. You know what I mean? Still on that since season 1.
Yes.
Gonna keep that joke going to the fucking last fucking episode.
And I think he's got a point.
He might. I feel like,
I like the Coen brothers. But they are an acquired taste. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes they get away with stuff just because they are who they are.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fair. I think there's something there a little bit.
Yeah.
I just wish maybe it had landed funnier or something, Uh-huh. But it was a good callback. It's a fair callback. It's as much as the circumcision jokes, which have definitely ran into ground this season.
Yes.
So then, she's still mad up at the front of the plane. Mm-hmm. We cut back to the nuke.
Yeah, so the Grail. So you have two random Grail guys who are arming that nuke, mm-hmm. and then just a random Aussie hiker comes up and goes, "Hey, what are you doing?"
Yeah, we're from New Zealand.
Oh, you're not. I recognize Kiwis anywhere. And by the way, I know this is a terrible Aussie accent.
Terrible Aussie accent.
It is bad. It's bad. It is bad.
It's bad. It's bad.
Yeah.
I'll give it a count. Yeah. And I wasn't even going to do my New Zealand one.
Yeah.
So anyway, they shoot that guy.
Yes.
They shoot that onlooker guy. Mm-hmm. And so they're basically setting up the bomb.
Yeah.
And then we cut to God.
Yes.
And Star.
Yes.
Who is now there.
Yes, and he's all jazzed.
Oh, he couldn't be more giddy after a 19-hour flight.
Yeah, he's ready to carve a vagina.
Same energy he had in the last scene.
He's ready to carve a vagina into Jesse's face.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, he's still doing that. Okay, all right, whatever. That's your thing. That's what you want, and you want to be good looking too, right? Yeah. And
yes.
Okay, all right, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. By the way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How's Humper do?
Oh, yeah. You keep asking because I lost him, right? And it's like, yeah, that's right. So basically, this is the part where the dingo eats the baby.
Yes.
Yeah.
All the babies.
Yeah, the 3 babies.
Yeah.
So God sicks a dingo on him, basically, and chomps his nuts. And I'm going to give that a bell.
Yeah.
Because he does get his dick chomped off by a dog.
Now.
In the books.
Yes. Now, this is basically in Australia. This is where the Monument Valley stuff goes down.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So all the stuff that happened in the books that happened in Monument Valley is happening here in Australia.
Yeah. We've actually got the book in our hand, and we marked the page, and it's like, the pages, I should say, because there's a lot coming from this kind of relative sequence.
Yeah, I like that whole issue.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a lot more dramatics in the comic, I'll tell you that. Mm-hmm. There's a lot more gunplay and a standoff type situation. But because it's a showdown of all 3 forces in the book at the time. It's the Grail, it's the Saint, and it's Jesse and his gang. It's a different kind of playing situation, and now God triggers the nuke, right?
Well, basically, God sees the plane.
Right.
And Jesse, how'd you guys find me? Mm-hmm. And Cassie shows him the postcard. He goes, we picked it up in God's trailer. And then he pieces together that it's a trap.
Yeah, pretty quick.
Yeah.
Not for nothing.
Yeah.
A, it's God. He knows everything. Mm-hmm. Or usually does.
Yeah.
And then B, I don't know why. So what I'm saying is, I don't know why Tulip didn't put together her own self sooner.
No.
Because she should have put it together in the trailer.
Yeah.
Where it's like, from the fucking time. I mean, the church is here on this table. You know what I mean? And all this other stuff.
I think she's just so desperate to find Jesse.
Absolutely, yeah. She was a little blind-eyed towards it all, and probably doesn't remember seeing the little plane when she sees the real plane. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But anyway, it's a nuke. God triggers the nuke. Mm-hmm. It goes off. Yeah. Shockwave sends the whole plane reeling.
Yes. Yeah. Raining down fire. Everything. Yeah. And everything. And Jesse falls out of the plane.
Falls out of the plane. Does the whole sequence straight from the panel of the comic.
Yes.
Where he latches onto Cassidy's arm, and he's holding on for dear life. Cassidy's got that vampire strength, so he can hold on.
But it's exposed to the sun.
And so his flesh is burning.
Yes.
And Jesse's just like, let me go, just let me go. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do it. And he uses the word to make him let go.
Yeah.
And he's like, let go of my arm. Echo, echo. Mm-hmm. And he does. And then Jesse does some free fall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then he lands into the dirt, which is a scene we've seen already from earlier in the season.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's how the episode ends. So this was kind of a fast run through for me. My notes were much leaner than usual. But did I ring the bell for Jesse and...
Yeah.
I don't know if I rang the bell. I'll ring it again.
Yeah, no, ring it again.
Okay. Should I ring it again?
Yeah, we have one more time. Ring it again.
Ring it again? How about now?
All right, that's enough.
That's enough? I think we made up one at least. But all in all, it was a pretty good episode. I mean, look, it was always going to be about, some real quick getting them all back together thing. And as fleeting as that was, that's kind of like where this kind of section of the book starts to go. Like, the book for a long time, the books have them together as a solid trio for a good long run. And then they keep getting separated,
Yeah.
So now the portion of this podcast, what we do here is we kind of like look ahead and kind of theorize a little bit about that. But, if you see anything in there, because I see you flipping through.
Yeah, I'm looking through just that one scene. And what I'm realizing in the show, it was just his arm that was on fire. And here in the books, you could see, like, it's his whole body.
Well, there was a point where, like, his arm was sticking out and his head. And I was like, I guess we don't have the special effects budget to put a little flame on his hair or something.
Yeah. But just like the exchange between Cassidy and Jesse, I think, quit it, you asshole. You're gonna fucking burn. No, you goddamn idiot. We don't both have to die. Let go. I can't. Not for what I did. Not you. Cass, tell her I love her.
Yeah.
Now, let go.
Yeah. And didn't use the word in the comic. Didn't use the word.
Yeah, he did.
When he says, tell her I love her.
Oh, yes.
Because in the books, I don't think he says that. He says he loved you for a while.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't relay that.
Oh, okay.
Tell Tulip I love her.
Yes.
Because, like, he's not forced to.
Yes.
You know what I mean? There's that little wiggle room where, because in the books, he turns into scumbag boy.
Yes, that's right.
You know what I mean?
And so we have 4 episodes left.
Four episodes left. So we've co-opted the stuff in this book to Australia.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. So, Hair Star, in the books, after this happens, gets picked up by the Char brothers.
Right.
Who are my favorite characters to hate in the stories.
Right.
And they take him hostage. And for a second, I thought they were the ones who took his penis. And I remember, no. Now, what you pointed out, no, it was the dingo.
Yeah.
They took his leg.
Right. They take his leg, and they eat it, if I remember correctly.
Yes, because they're cannibals.
They're cannibals, and they have a plan to keep him alive so they could just cut limb after limb after limb off of him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a dog, I think, like a Doberman or a German Shepherd, I think, gets his balls. But, so, question number one. Do we think Airstar is going to continue to lose limbs? I say yes.
I hope so, yes.
I think we're going to go full throttle with that for the rest of this series, for the rest of these episodes, because that's going to be that's going to be like the running gag now for sure of like God, where it's like, I'll just continue punishing you bodily because I know that's your great weakness every time you fuck something up. And, he can't win, so I guess he'll continue to fuck shit up. Now, you're a little fresher on the ending in the books.
Yeah.
Where, like, geographically, where are people in the end in the books?
So, in the books, this all happens in Monument Valley.
Well, this stuff,
Yes, all this stuff. And from there, Hairstar meets up with the Char brothers and then gets rescued by Featherstone. Masada has already been destroyed.
Right.
So basically, he's pooling all of the resources that Grail has left.
Right.
And which keeps dwindling down more and more with every encounter.
Right.
Trying to just take out his revenge on Jesse.
Yeah.
So I don't know how Jesus and Hitler are going to play into this.
No, not really, no.
Yeah, no. Saint of Killers kind of gets displaced again.
Yes.
And he doesn't really show up. I think he's just wandering around until the end.
He keeps. There's a point where like he just becomes a thing that pops up when we need to reestablish him.
Yes.
You know.
Yes. Arseface is doing his whole music career, which I will go note on saying Arseface is my least favorite character from the books.
Right. But conversely, he's one of your favorites on the show.
He's probably my favorite on the show.
Fair enough.
Because I think you know, I hope they don't do that storyline just because I feel like it's dated.
It is a little dated. I think that the music that they use in there is dated.
Yeah, well, just kind of like the way that it's used, where like he and you kind of could play off of this with social media,
yeah,
because it's a little bit more where like he reaches this huge fame,
yeah,
and then when kids become inspired by him and start trying to shoot their own faces off.
Oh, I forgot about that.
That becomes a huge outcry, and his star falls, and then his manager takes all of his money. Right.
Well, we definitely don't have time for the whole arc of it, sure.
Yeah, so you have that whole fall from grace.
Yeah.
And I hope better for Eugene.
Yeah, me too. I kind of wouldn't mind some kind of... I could see them anyway trying to figure out a spin on the celebrity status, some social media thing or some viral video type thing, or that contextually like the news, maybe getting wind of his story, quote unquote, and like the tragic arc that it has, and like him becoming like the sad sack case of the week, kind of like, you know what I mean, that everybody's all pitiful for. Maybe everybody prays for him. Wouldn't it be great if how everybody goes on about hopes, and prayers, and wishes, you know, after like a tragedy, and everyone's like, yeah, that's a little kind of like empty sometimes. People want to get on that, but like if the power of prayer has like a value or a power component in this show, and then somehow that lifts things. Anyway, I can see them doing something like that. But all right, so that's Arseface.
So Jesse, everyone thinks Jesse's dead.
Right.
So
he decides to be a sheriff.
So he ends up in Salvation, not really remembering who he is.
Yeah.
And he becomes the sheriff of Salvation.
Right.
Meets his mom.
Yeah.
Finds out his mom's alive and living there, and that's also where Quincannon, the meat guy.
Yeah, that's where that character comes from. But later on in the book, wasn't there another Quincannon pops up?
Yes.
And it's like his brother or his cousin or something. And it's like a twin kind of bit. Like that's the shtick.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think we'd get any of that really here. But, like, I wouldn't, like, here's the thing. I feel like I wouldn't put it past these guys to try hard to slip in little nods. Like, we saw the Sex Detectives for one quick beat.
Yeah.
Like little homage-y kind of nods. But I don't know if we'll see more Quincannon stuff.
Yeah. But, like, in 4 episodes, I think you could do 2 episodes of him in Salvation.
Yeah.
I think you could easily do that.
I think you could do I wouldn't care if it was a bottle episode. If it was just one, and it's just kind of like, you know, it's the whole eye patch part. You know, it's like we do an episode where, because we're going to show time. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because that's the thing, I think, coming out of the end of this episode. Does this set us up now for a time jump to come where they're separated again? If you remember at the beginning of this season, Tulip and Cassidy were on a bed in a hotel room, and he had his frosted tips, and they had like an awkward kiss of sorts, which is reflective of what happens in the comics with the two of them, where they kind of start hooking up like crazy.
Yeah, and she just falls into a depression and
turns into a junkie.
Yeah, and he feeds her. Yeah, he feeds her drug addiction.
Yeah,
and then it's basically her finally, whipping up the strength to leave him.
Yeah. After kind of realizing how shitty he's kind of being. Yeah. But we, as a reader, in that point of the book, start to you're turned off to Cassidy. Yes. Cassidy becomes a bad guy.
Yes.
Kind of. It's a big turn in the book series where it's like it's kind of adds to the heart-wrenchingness of it, where it's like, oh, this guy's a piece of shit. And can't stop from being a piece of shit. And they kind of say that on the show. Yeah. That's his core, quote unquote. But they don't really show it in a real worldy way like they do in the comic, in the book. You know what I mean? The book kind of like makes him fuck things up forever. Yeah. Like it never goes back to being right again. You know?
Yeah. So I feel like you could spend 2 episodes.
You give like Jesse a side story. You give them 2 a side story.
Yeah.
You know,
and do that, and then the penultimate is basically all of them coming back together, or like, you know, Tulip meets up with Jesse, tells him how horrible Cassidy was,
right?
And then the finale is the big giant show is Alamo.
Yeah, is Alamo and the whole God and Santa Killers kind of thing.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll get Jesse on a horse? the one-eyed knight in dark armor.
I mean, they have horses in Australia.
It could happen.
They gotta be there. It's
and if they bring it, if it's supposed to be the Alamo, quote unquote.
Yeah.
I wonder if they'll do that at all.
Yeah.
Or if they'll just kind of maybe even say it's the Alamo, but they're shooting it down there, whatever. Yeah. But will they actually make that the last place? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, because for a show that's got for a book that's like incredibly American in its ideals and ideology and themes and conversation points, the show doesn't sink into a lot of that.
No,
it doesn't. It doesn't rely on that. Granted, like. It's not that it's dated in any way necessarily, but it definitely is a thing where, like, well, once you kind of settle into making that part of your story point or the themes here that we deal with, like, you'd have to stay pretty kind of like lockstep with it. And I can see why it's like,
sorry,
it's all right. We're only podcasting.
I'm sorry. There's a fly.
Yeah, but it wasn't even on you.
It was right.
And second of all, it's in my house, so maybe that's like my pet or something. You don't know.
Is it your pet?
Yeah. That's George.
I don't think it's your pet.
That's George Flyolopoulos.
It's been bugging me for 2 days.
That's George Flyolopoulos.
All right.
He's Greek.
Moving on.
Okay. But that's really it. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Do you have
Yeah, I know.
any other thoughts? Or what are you thinking?
I mean, I just told you that, and I realized based on the preview that we saw that's
none of that's actually going to happen.
No.
Because we saw the preview for next week, and other stuff is being lined up. And, if they had like a couple more episodes, I could see them actually doing those kinds of standalones and give us if different people were making this show,
yeah,
I could see that being done. You know what I mean? That's a different show would do that. Because even when this show wanted to do stuff like that in previous seasons, like it didn't really. It would show you maybe some stuff you didn't see, but it wouldn't give you like a self-contained, which I love those episodes where it's like, oh, that thing we didn't show you, here's one episode with that one character. It's all about that from beginning to end. Maybe the last 5 minutes we jump to the present day or we see what else is going on in the house or some shit like that, whatever. But I dig on those bottle episodes like that. But that's me. Anything else, sir?
No, I think we're good.
All right. So with that, folks, this is how we start to head out of the door. Kind of, in a way. We appreciate you listening. We've only got a few more of these left.
Yeah.
So reach out to us, pvp@wickedtheory.com. That's our email. You can put in your bets on who will be co-hosting with me next week.
Sarah Netzley.
Preach versus Preach. Preach vs. Preach, rather, on the Twitters. And then, I don't know, we'll come back, I guess, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you might be back again. Who knows?
We'll see.
There's only 4 more episodes. There's a potential.
Yeah, I gotta pee.
You gotta pee? Is that why you're freaking out? You giving me that weird face? Okay, folks. Ed's gonna go do that. And, I don't know. That's it for us. So this is the end of the show. And then come back next time, and we'll do this until the end of the world, kids.